Hey friends, Megan McIntosh here. Welcome to this video. I hope you're doing well. I know that I'm sort of glowing today. I am trying this new skincare regime where I'm using all these different products on my face, and I literally just put them on, and I don't want to pat my face dry so it doesn't shine. So I just figured, whatever, I'll just come on and I'll look like I'm glowing. So how's everyone doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and you're enjoying February 1st. So let me just move my camera. There we go. Okay, let me just see if I move my light, if it'll change. No, I'm still going to be glowing. I guess I would have to put some sort of powder on if I didn't want to glow, but that's okay. So today I want to talk about coaching to your strengths and basically how to think about it, what type of training to get for that, and how to think about your personality when you're building your business. So if this is of interest to you, if you're building an online coaching business or consulting or some sort of service-based business, how do you grow that business and how do you play to your strengths so you're staying in your passion, right? Oftentimes we get excited about things, but sometimes our passion wanes, and it's really good to reinvigorate and get re-inspired for things. And so that is really what I'm going to be talking about. I just don't know why I have my, okay, I'm just not loving the angle today. Being very picky, aren't I? So, all right, first off, one of the things that got me thinking about this was really thinking about my own passions and the way I'm constantly thinking about different areas in my life, okay? And then putting more energy into those passions if it's something I care about. So during the last 2 years, it's really been, we've been indoors. Our mental health isn't always the best because it's sort of like Groundhog Day. And I'm sure in the beginning we had passions and did different things, but sometimes it can feel like things are the same over and over again. And I think when you bring something new into your life, it increases that energy and that spark again, right? I'm listening to Esther Perel's podcast right now. I don't know if you know her. She's a really good relationship psychologist, or maybe she's a therapist. So I don't know if she's a psychologist or she's a therapist. So she does these podcast episodes where she interviews couples and talks to them about their relationships and, infidelities, couples with kids, couples who have been together for a long time. It's quite interesting, right? Because a lot of us love to talk about relationships, but also being a coach, a lot of what I deal with is people's mindset in their business, but there's always relationships in the back end, right? There's always other stuff going on in someone else's life when you're coaching them. And sometimes that's hard to remember, but it's so important to realize that. And so I was listening to her podcast, and that's like a new thing on my agenda that I'm doing. But I've also, I came across this YouTuber who talks about anti-aging and skincare. And I used to be really into looking into retinol and alpha hydroxy acids and when I was way younger, when it was first found out scientifically. Then I kind of stopped it and didn't really pay attention too much to my skin. I just would eat healthy, and that was more my way of dealing with my body changes and skin. And I always use sunscreen, so I was pretty careful. But now that I'm getting older, I saw this video and I just went down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is something that's getting me excited that I can, treat my skin well and put products on it to change it. And so that's what I'm playing around with now. And it's passion, there's passion to it, right? I went to the drugstore the other day and purchase new products. And I mean, I know it sounds strange to be like, oh, you're excited about a new skincare regime. But honestly, if you have something new, it can excite you and get you researching it. And I look at different areas of my life to do that, right? Like Esther Perel with relationships, right? Getting new invigoration in your relationships, getting skincare, right? Learning about that, and beauty. What else? Fitness. The other day I learned of this new YouTuber that does Pilates dance workouts, which I started yesterday. And then my partner, he's now training people and using some of her moves because my background's dancing. And I'm like, I need to get into fitness more, but I want to do stuff that I enjoy, and I love to dance and I love to do Pilates and yoga, and it was a pretty hard workout yesterday. But thinking about this with coaching, because I kind of like went off there, it's really important to know what you're good at and understanding what keeps you energized. So for me, one of the things that I'm doing that I've talked about last year, like near the end of last year and brought up again, is I'm working on a group program. But essentially what it started with is I really wanted to give my clients a private portal that they could have trainings that they could go to and just like watch and learn and pick up, rather than me just coaching them and then giving them trainings that I have. I have trainings for everything I teach, and I have PDFs and that, but I wanted to have like a good portal and a place that they could actually go into and learn. And then I thought, well, I could eventually turn this into a group program. So that's what I've been working on. And it's taken a long time for me to put it together because I have so many resources that I've used with my coaching clients over the years. Since I've first started coaching, well, I did my coaching training in 2011, but I think I got my first client in 2014, if I'm correct. I can't remember. But I have so many resources because most of my coaching has been one-on-one. So I have so many resources that I've used with different people, as well as with my consulting work. And it's like how to combine it in what category. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I've like, basically now I know all the content, and it's just like categorizing it. And then the next step will be shooting the content, right? Shooting the videos and then recreating the PDFs or however I want to do it in Google Docs, so that if someone's asking me a question about something, I could just like take them there. And now I do have the resources to take people to anyway with my private coaching, but sometimes it takes much longer because I really personalize a lot of things. And so I have old content that I've used and content that I continually use with my clients, but it's not as perfect. Like it's perfect, like in that it's great for the client, but it takes me longer, right? Because I'll like, oh yeah, I did that for this person, this person, this person. And so then I go back and I find the different PDFs or the different content that I use, and then I personalize it. It just takes a lot longer for me to do, right? So I'm probably doing more back end work. The client gets it at the time they need it. But for me, I figure if I can just have a portal that's a great, like organized amazingly, then it's going to be less time for me to constantly re-personalize things. This same questions people ask, the same content, the same things people ask for. Now, most of my stuff also is in Trello that I have it organized there, but I just wanted it a little bit different. So it's not like I don't have the content already for people, but I just wanted something that I didn't have to constantly repurpose and personalize. So thinking about what type of coach you are, right? What are the skills that you are really good at that you want to continually get educated in and re-engage your clients with, right? So one of the things that I'm reading about is a lot about trauma and coaching and understanding the trauma responses. And even though I have a sociology background and not a psychology background, I find it really interesting, and I'm using some of that work in my own coaching and finding professionals that have books about it. So reading about that, digging deeper into my skills. So that's one of the things I'm doing. The other thing I mentioned is I'm doing those videos and re-going over my curriculum, right? And re-honing in on my methods and my structure. So looking at what are my frameworks, what are the methods I use in my coaching, what do I tend to use over and over again, right? And really getting that intellectual property down for my own coaching business. And that's something that you might want to do, is you might have things that you consistently use with your clients over and over again, something that is a strategy, or it could be a method, or it could be some sort of framework or some type of mindset tool that you use over and over again, but it's something that you're really good at, like automatically, but you maybe haven't put in your operations manual yet, or maybe it's just something that comes easily for you, but you want to really make it like intellectual property so that you make it yours, right? Like maybe you name it something, or maybe you create a video and a printed version and then you create what it is. And so that's what I'm doing, is I'm doing a lot of this intellectual property stuff in the background, where I'm really looking at my different techniques that I'm using for mindset, for strategy, and figuring out how do I name it? How do I make this a framework so that it's my work coming out there, right? And this is a lot of work. This takes a lot of work. I was listening to Stacey Bayman, who has Make Money as a Life Coach. It's a podcast, and she talks about this intellectual property stuff, and she says it takes a lot of work to do, but once you start doing it, it's so worth it. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing, and it's taking all my back end, all my stuff of like since 2014, and really organizing it in a way that it's so systemized. And so that's one of the things. And so I look at my coaching as, the way I coach is really been personalized. Most of it has been one-on-one, and it's been personalized, and it's been really, people have come to me from the creative industries, freelancers, coaches, right? All different industries. And even though I tend to, certain clients have problems that are similar, and so you're like, oh, here's another resource, I can just repeat and give that resource, right? But I don't have it as but most of it is personalized. Most of it is I will create their script for them, right? So for sales, oftentimes I will work with a client because I'm really good with sales, and I will create a script for them, right? And we'll do it together. Well, that's a lot of work, right? To put together a script. And I have the script examples to give to people, but I haven't really put the process together for them to create their own script. I just have all these different scripts, and then I've personalized with a client. And listen, I'm not saying that I wouldn't do this with a client still. I still do this, but I'm thinking I need a process where I can teach them how to create their own script rather than me go back and forth. Now, I think in a way, like, people like working with me to make a script for them, and they like that I know these step-by-step sales things, but I do want to have more general information, because when you're personalizing everything, it takes a lot of time. And so that's what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at ways to leverage and scale my business so that I have this content that is easily used, so that eventually I can do group programs where I've done a couple group programs, but like do it with a lot of people going through those group programs. And that's the idea. And so you really want to, what do they call this live? I feel like I'm going totally off topic of what I talked about, but that's okay. Well, I might change the title if this is not lining up. But it's really understanding the way you want to work. Like, you might just want to work one-on-one. I have a coach that I work with for 6 months, and she was just a one-on-one coach. That was her specialty, and she coaches with a ton of high-level people, and her specialty is one-on-one, and that's what I was like kind of doing too. I was like, I also want to just do one-on-one. And then I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I really want to try doing more group programs. I've done them before and I like them, and I want to do more, but I want to be able to leverage, and I want to have that content ready, because I feel like a lot of people do come to me for the same thing. And it doesn't mean I'm going to do group programs forever. It doesn't mean that I'm going to launch tomorrow, but right now, the purpose is create the back end content, use that with my private clients, and then put it into a group program, right? That's the way I'm thinking. And so you might say, well, I prefer doing group programs. I prefer working with more people, and that is okay too, right? So you can launch that way, but know that you're going to have the content. A lot of people create group programs and they launch live. So they're creating their program live with the cohort that goes through it. And that's another way that you can create content for group programs, is you can be making the content as you're teaching it. For me, because I have already private clients now, I'm creating the content as I'm working with the private clients, because I'm looking at the questions they're asking me and I'm creating the content for that, if that makes sense. So that's all I have today. I just wanted to talk about, I guess, the idea of coaching styles and the idea of group versus one-on-one, and how do you think about coaching, and how do you continue to be inspired as a coach? How do you continue to be inspired in what you do? And it really is looking at different ways of coaching, ways that you can help yourself, leverage your business, leverage your time, but also get re-inspired with learning what are the type of coaching that you want to continue doing and that you seem to be drawn into. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to coach with me, feel free to get into my inbox. I would love to say hi. I focus on intuition, influence, and innovation. So what that means is I work at your mindset and your energy so that you can really help get rid of any blocks and really look at your resistance. And if you already know what you need to do but you're not doing it, that's where mindset comes into play. And because maybe you're not doing it because certain things you're thinking or certain ways, or you're not being consistent, right? So the mindset really helps you. Like, you're like, I already know the steps but I'm not doing it. That's mindset. And then the other aspect of that is energy, right? Sometimes you just might not have the energy and you're exhausted at the end of the day, or you don't know how to organize your energy with your mindset. So like sometimes your energy can affect your mindset, or your mindset can affect your energy. It's like almost like a cycle, like chicken and egg scenario. Like if your energy is low, you might have a low mindset at the time, or if your mindset's low, your energy might be low. So it's really working on those two pieces so that you have that energy, so that you can have the highest level of intuition possible. The next thing is looking at your influence. If you're going to make money, if you're going to get clients, you have to be influential. You have to have leadership skills, and you have to be able to do that with marketing and selling, right? You have to market and sell. It's just a non-negotiable. You have to learn how to do social media if you're building an online business, and you have to learn how to sell. Those are two main things you need to learn, and that'll up your influence as soon as you learn how to do those two things consistently. So that's what I teach. And the third thing is innovation, which I think sets me apart from a lot of coaches out there, is I do come from a background in the creative industries, being in the advertising industry for many years, and now as well I'm a filmmaker. And what that means is I'm constantly honing my creative muscle. So I feel like anybody that's an entrepreneur, that's a leader, and is coming up with new ideas has to have a creative muscle that they're constantly honing in on and innovating and coming up with new ideas. But a lot of people, if you're bored, if you don't have energy, if you aren't inspired, that creative muscle can slow down, or if not slow down, but if you're not using it regularly, it's hard to activate. And so I really am good at activating the creative muscle. I'm really good at helping you think creatively and helping you innovate and understand how your ideas are like the most important things that you can have in your business, besides your mindset and all the other things I was talking about. But your ideas are key, and making sure that you can inspire yourself always, because the industry's always changing and you have to change with it, but you also have to be thinking how different you are, so that you don't always have to be like following the crowd, right? Knowing your differentiators. And so creativity and innovation and leadership and thought leadership is so important. So I help you hone in that with my background in the creative industries for many, many years, and I just understand the creative brain, and I know how to help people become more creative. So if you're interested in coaching with me, let me know. You can reach out to me, and I would love to hear from you. Talk to you soon. Bye.